Hey, what's going on everybody? Today we're going to be doing a video on backing vocals because I've done a couple videos on lead vocals and what plugins I use for that, but I figured I just finished a song and I really like how the backing vocal and harmonies came out, so I think it'd be beneficial to do a video on it. So I'm going to jump right into Logic and I'm going to break down the backing vocals for the chorus. Alright, so we're in Logic and I'm just going to have you guys listen to the backing vocals first, and then we are going to listen in context with the song and kind of break down the plugins I'm using on the backing vocals.
'Cause oh, my heart, it cries for you, and oh, my heart knows what love can do.
Okay, so you guys get a feel for what's going on here, and let's just say plugins aside, I think it's really important if you want a large chorus, something that really has an impact on people, to focus on harmony and focus on double tracking and stuff like that, because you're going to get a lot cooler sound than using plugins like a doubler or something like that, or even Harmony Engine if you do it yourself. So I definitely recommend trying to learn how to do that. And it's really just a matter of singing it slightly different than you sang the original.
'Cause oh, my heart, 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 it cries for you.
So you can see incrementally how just adding those harmonies really makes this chorus full. And if it was just the one vocal in context with the song, it wouldn't sound good.
'Cause oh, my heart, it cries for you, and oh, my heart.
So it doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't sound full. It has no impact really on you. It's just like, oh my heart. It's like, oh great. You know, so adding these harmonies, adding these doubles in, and doing it a bunch of different times. I mean, how many are here? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different things going on. And then this is a high harmony, so really 9. But like I said, we are going to focus on just the backing vocals, the harmony, because I already did a video on this particular song with the hook, which I will leave a card right here. Watch that first and then come to this, because it'll give you a better understanding what I'm using on the lead vocals, and then you can kind of, you know, methodically go to the backing vocals. Okay, we're going to leave the high harmony out of it because I'm actually using the exact same thing that I'm using on the lead vocals. So let's go to all of these and we'll solo these out, and I'll let you listen to these alone.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you, and oh, my heart knows what love can do.
Okay, so you can see they're sung slightly different. 4 of them aren't. They're sung exactly the same. That would be the top 4.
Oh, my heart.
So you can see that's sung exactly the same way, but what that does, instead of adding like a doubler, is it really gives this cool double effect because there's a different character. You're singing it slightly different, but it really does just give this sort of space-like feeling, and it adds a lot of fullness to it. Now these bottom 2 over here, these are sung slightly different.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you, and oh, my heart knows what love can do.
And then these bottom 2 are also sung slightly different from all these.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
So all those together sound like this in context with the hook.
'Cause oh, my heart, it cries for you.
So I really like that. I also just threw in the exact same thing as the hook, but it's just an octave higher.
'Cause oh, my heart, it cries for you.
A cool tip, if you can't sing it high like that, then you should just use auto-tune and just pitch it up a whole octave, and you can actually get a really cool sound, maybe even cooler than this. So you can do that if you can't sing it. Now let's break down the plugins. Okay, so the first plugin in the chain is an EQ. Now this EQ is rolling off quite a bit of low end because we don't really want to interfere too much with the actual lead vocal and the fullness of the lead vocal. So a lot of times I'll roll off quite a bit of the low end. So I'm at about 250 right here. I have a pretty big dip in an area where I felt like was going to compete with the lead vocal, because the lead vocal is going to be somewhere around, 500 to 3K, really, just like the mid-range, mid to high. So I just kind of scooped out the mid-range, and over here this is for character, around 4K. I just thought that sounded really cool right there, just boosting that particular frequency and rolling off to about 10K. This is with nothing on any of them.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually like how that sounds, and that's what you want to shoot for. It should sound good and mix kind of good just in terms of leveling before you go into plugins. With the EQ, it sounds like this.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
So the way that it's EQ'd makes it sound sort of vintagey, and I really wanted that for underneath to really bring everything up and have the chorus sound really large. Next thing, I love this plugin. You guys already know that if you watch my videos. C1 Compressor, and I am just compressing these vocals harder with a 4:1 ratio instead of 3:1. And I have the threshold at 27. See, I'm not like great with all this. I just do what sounds good to me, and I base it based off the what signals coming through. So I squash these quite a bit.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
And you can use the makeup gain to sort of add some of the gain reduction that's happening here. You can add that back on with the makeup gain, which I really like. So the next plugin I use is the CLA Vocals plugin, and I use this all the time. I really like this plugin because there's so much in one. If you go from left to right, you have EQ right here, you have compression, you have reverb, delay, and you can actually use a spreader, make it wide, stereo, whatever. And I actually used all of them for this because I'm not using any sends, believe it or not. I'm actually just using this plugin. This is what's giving it the whole sound.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
So the spreader over here is taking it, and it's already panned left to right with all these vocals, but with the spreader it's really accentuating that. It's really making it super wide and sounding very chorusy. And then I have a reverb going on and a delay. So when I play it and then I stop it, just listen for the little tail, because that space fills up space in the chorus and it makes it really full.
Oh, my heart.
So you can hear that little tail end of that. That really does fill up some space. And that's all that's going on with that plugin. I'm really not doing anything here either. I mean, you can boost this a little bit, give it some top end.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
And that sounds good to me. Now this plugin's really cool. This is Manny M's plugin, the Tone Shaper, and I use this quite a bit too because it's like a parallel compression in a plugin basically, but you can shape the sound. So it kind of works as like parallel compression, but also in my mind EQ, and then when you have it in stereo, you have a width thing. So I'm actually pushing this a little bit to also add some width.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
So I think that sounds really good right there. And the next plugin, I was talking about this in the other video. I do this quite a bit on my vocals now. I never used to, but I feel like it gives it a lot of character. I have this distortion plugin. This is Bezerk Distortion from Waves, and I really like this plugin because there's some good presets for vocal distortion, and then I just dial in the mix, and I actually use it right in the chain, which you could also use it as a send, I guess, but I use it in the chain itself and then just mess with the mix.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart.
So what that does in my mind is just adds a little saturation, a little bit of distortion going on, and I don't push it too much, but what that does is really pushes it forward and kind of lifts everything up, especially when you have it on a bus like that, because it's affecting all of these at the same time. So I do that, and then I run it into a DeEsser so it's not too harsh.
Oh, my heart, it cries for you.
So on a DeEsser, it's really important with backing vocals to squash the S's, because you don't want to have any sibilants sort of poke through on the lead, because there's, it's just unnecessary. You don't need extra S's popping in there at different places too, especially if they're doubled like this and it's not just, a parallel track or using a doubler or something like that. I think it's really important to use a DeEsser on your backing vocals. So that's the gist of it for the backing vocals. It's very simple. I'm not going too crazy, but it's very effective. So let me show you in context with the mix.
'Cause oh, my heart, it cries for you. And oh, my heart knows what love can do.
Alright guys, so that's the gist of it. It's pretty simple. I'm not going too crazy with all the plugins, but it's very effective. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. Adding these harmonies, adding the doubles is really going to just change the way that everything sounds. It's going to sound a lot more full. And even on your verses, if you want to throw in some harmonies here and there to just sort of accent certain parts of the song that you want some emphasis on, it's going to trick the listener's ear, and it serves as ear candy, and it just sounds really good. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one.